Alright, Shalom Hebrews. This is Israel being Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews, we're going to trace Edom. We're going to trace Edom in the Israelite heritage. You know, a lot of Israelites, man, be using the camp's doctrine on trying to explain who Edom is, and it's not helping us in our heritage, in our bondage. It's not helping us see the truth. And if it's not helping the Israelites see the truth, then, man, it's help keeping us in captivity. You know, we got to have truth. And a lot of Israelites pick up camp doctrine and you know, just run with it, and they don't investigate it or nothing. You know, that's like, this is a key thing, man, about the camps, is that they mostly stay in the New Testament. All of them stay in the New Testament. They stay in the New Testament, and then they don't research history. They don't research Tanakh history in the BC days, because they think they know, and they think that the demi-god Jesus is the end of Israelite history, and now you just got to sit back and be lazy and wait on him to come save you and stuff, and you ain't got to do nothing else. You could sin, you could do all kind of stuff, long as you ask the demigod Jesus for forgiveness and all of those crazy stuff, and that you ain't held accountable for nothing if you go by what our enemies taught us in the slavery days. You know what I'm saying? That's like I tell a whole lot of Israelites, man, is that we got the belief about the demigod in the slavery days. Now, why come the slave owners didn't teach us, men, about Tanakh history? Men teach us about Moses, the prophets, and what the Israelites went through in Egypt. You know, that would have been a good story, since we was in bondage just like the Israelites was in bondage, you know. So, you know, why he didn't teach us that story, but instead he taught us the Jesus story, the New Testament story, a history that's created 500 years after the Tanakh closed, after the prophet Malachi give his last testimony about the conditions of the exiles in the promised land. That little 1% that prophet Isaiah said will be destroyed once his testimony, you know, was over with. This was around about 430 BC. That like 98 years later, the Greeks come in, because the exiles, the little 1% who only lived in Jerusalem, they didn't live all over the Israelite heritage like we once did, and that they was confined to Jerusalem. If you read the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, they was confined to Jerusalem. They was confined to Jerusalem and Judah's inheritance, but everybody close to Jerusalem. And the Israelites from the northern kingdom was mixed in with them. As I explained, that it never was any 10 lost tribes and so forth, and that how those are myths. Well, anyway, those exiles were destroyed by Greek time real fast. Ain't no way in the world that they could have stayed on the land, and it wasn't no army to defend them. And a lot of nations from the north of us was coming through, like Almighty Yah told him to, how he called all the nations from the north of us. He told them to come on down and come on into, man, our land and set up. All these nations right here, all these nations from the north, all of them, especially these right here, Greek and Romans, man, the Greeks came, man, and how did they just come on, you know, to the promised land? And then when the Greeks came to the promised land, how that they came as conquerors, because they was going into Egypt. They was going into Egypt to take Egypt over. That was their whole mission, was to get into Egypt. But the Ptolemies controlled the promised land. The Ptolemies controlled the promised land. You know, and that's stipulated in history. And then this what I don't understand, if Israelites don't understand history. That's why come they get in the New Testament, and then they, you know, don't know nothing about the history before then, because You know, the Israelites, if they was in the promised land, they would have been exposed to Greek culture for 300 some years before the Romans pull up. Man, before the Romans pull up and start having problems with the Edomites and so forth that was in the promised land, that controlled the promised land, and that the Israelites would have been exposed to Greek culture. You know, it's documented in Jewish history and Jewish sources where they had feuds, men with each other, men about the Jews going over to Greek culture, Hellenism and so forth, and how that they was totally influenced by Greek culture and just took off with Greek culture. The men got totally immersed in it and so forth. And I believe, you know, that's what the Maccabee story is about. You know, them Greeks and you know, them Jews, you know, going over into Greek culture and how that they didn't like that and so forth. So, you know, the Israelites, if they was the exiles, if they had lasted all the way past Greek time to the Roman time, they would have been exposed to to the Greeks. Without question, they would have been exposed to the Greeks. And then if they would have been exposed to the Greeks for hundreds of years, you cannot get that up off us. That's like the Israelites being that left captivity in the 60s and 70s that made it to the promised land. Man, they still got captivity traits up on them because, you know, we've been in captivity a long time. They speak English, and man, it's a whole bunch of things that's still Americanism, man, about them, even though they, you know, got a little sense of freedom over there in the desert next to the nuclear plants and so forth. All right, Israelites, we're going to trace Edom. We're going to trace Edom in the Israelite heritage, and we're going to see, you know what I'm saying, can we get an understanding of who Edom is in the Israelite heritage. You know, I already know, you know, it's just you Israelites, man, it's in them camps, men that done accepted the Jewish myths. And the Jewish myths, I'm going to explain what the Jewish myths is, you know, and it's myths to Israelites, but to the Jewish people, it's their history. And we can't knock them for their history, but we have to learn how to make the separation. You know, Israelites don't know how to make the separation. They'll just pick a book up, and if it got a title Israelite on it, and they just automatically claim it. And they don't know that people was in our heritage. Man, people was placed in our heritage. Soon as we got on Egyptian religion, folks started getting in our heritage. And a lot of settlers from the Mesopotamia area settled in our heritage because they was Amorites, and they was connected to the Amorites, and the Amorites got lodged in our heritage in Joshua days. You know, we made a treaty with them not to destroy the Gabonites, who was Amorites, and they was in our heritage. And then those Sephardims, the Sephardi Jews who are from Cypher, who then took the whole Babylonian system all across the world, is what Western culture is dominated by, the Babylonian system from Cypher, and then how they settled in our land in 722 BC while we was on Egyptian religion. And then I showed, man, that a whole bunch of other folks settled in our land while we was on Egyptian religion, and then how a bunch of them pull up during our troubles with the Babylonians. A whole bunch of people from Mesopotamia moved into our land, and then when we was chased out, oh man, they settled and started doing what the Israelites was doing. It was already Amorites in our heritage from Joshua days that was doing our heritage, and then how did they taught the other folks real easy, and then they start claiming the Israelite heritage, and then those will be the peoples in the New Testament, because the exiles, I explained in a video how it couldn't be two covenants, one broken and one not broken. Ain't nowhere in the world that Almighty y'all gonna have some Israelites on the covenant, a little small percentage, while the rest of us broke the covenant. It was all or nothing. He was driving us off the land, or we was gonna stay. we was going to stay or be driven off as stipulated in Tanakh history. And what some of them call the Torah, the first 5 books, the law. But the Tanakh, the prophets, tell that how Almighty Yah gave us warnings that if we broke the covenant, we was going to be driven off the land. And I got it documented thoroughly and wellly that we was driven off the land during the Babylonian wars. All right, Israelites, if we was driven off the land during the Babylonian wars and had to go into captivity, then y'all should know that Almighty Yah ain't sent no demigod to get rid of our sins. Because if it was a demigod meant to get rid of our sins, then Jesus was born before the transatlantic slave trade started by 1600 years. Then why come we didn't get spared the transatlantic slave trade and all its horrors and all its miseries if Jesus was there for everybody's sins and for the remission of sins? Then why come we didn't learn about him till we got into captivity and then it was forced on us? See, Israelites don't take none of that into consideration. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to trace Edom in the Israelite heritage. And it's important that we get an understanding of who Edom is, because we know Edom is the documented enemy, and that Almighty Yah said that Edom would have our land in our last days. Now, if Edom got our land, then it's documented that we're going to do to Edom what he did to us, and that we're going to get our land back. See, this is what the Israelite Brotherhood been trying to explain to Ashkenazi, and then how that they playing games. And it seemed like that they'll understand, that Ashkenazi will understand that the Edomites, the Sephardic groups, got them surrounded, and how Ashkenazi even say this himself, how they are surrounded, and then how the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking down, and then how did they not guaranteed to control the promised land because they got nuclear bombs and so forth. And then I explained in videos how it's stated in the Tanakh that, we're going to give up our weapons and so forth when the Israelites return and be redeemed. And I explained how the Jewish state cannot represent the Israelites, the biblical Israelites, who Almighty Yah is dealing with as a nation, is because they got nuclear bombs. And we know that they are not finna give up their nuclear bombs, because if they get their nuclear bombs up, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? It's over with. I explained the proxy religions, Islam and Christianity, how that they was created to fight proxy wars between Ashkenazi and the Sephardic groups when we Israelites abandoned our heritage to them during the Babylonian wars, and then how that they created the religions to fight against each other. It's a known fact that Sephardim, Sephardi, and prosper in Islamic countries and in the Eastern nations. Oh man, that's where their wealth come from. And then how Ashkenazi controlled the West and what's called Western culture and so forth. And that's what Christianity is mostly dominated at. It's like how Christianity portray the Israelites as being non-pigmented, as Ashkenazi is, a non-pigmented people and so forth, and how that they promote Ashkenazi as being, the Israelites in the Tanakh history is what Christianity do. Well, Islam only seen the Sephardim, the Sephardis as Israelites with pigmentation. The Edomites had a little bitty degree of pigmentation, and then how that the Islam only seen the Sephardis as Israelites throughout history from its beginning, because that's all that was in the Islamic nations were the Sephardim. That's all that was in the Islamic nations. Right there, is where Islam was created in Edom's heritage and so forth. So that's all he know of is the Sephardim, and the Sephardims are the Sephardists. They just mix with the what they call Arabic nations, but it's really Ishmael and the Hamites and the Moabites and the Edomites, and the Ammonites all mixed and so forth. Where that term Semitic come from? Yeah, where that term Semitic come from? All right, Israelites. We know that the Israelites couldn't have been in the Promised Land during the Roman times, for the simple fact that the Edomites controlled the land. That's documented in that how Herd had a temple built. How Herd had a temple built. And there ain't no way in the world that if Jesus was an Israelite, that he would have went and prayed in Herd temple or had anything to do with it, knowing that Herd was an Edomite, fulfilling the prophecies of Prophet Obadiah's prophecy of Edom getting into the Promised Land and having it, especially in Jerusalem. And we know that Herd took the exile temple down completely, down to the foundation, and then built him a completely new temple. And then how that wasn't the temple that our ancestors repaired coming from the Babylonian wars, and that how Herd built him a whole new temple. So it was really like the third temple, and now they talking about building the fourth temple. See, people don't understand real history, and then they just accept the people history that we abandon our heritage to, who create their own history, and then the world just accept that as truth. But we're showing that that's not truth now, and that is real Israelite history, and Israelite history can be explained correctly. All right, Israelites, tracing Edom in the Israelite heritage. Now we know that that our mother and father was upset with Edom men before they passed away and so forth, and then how our mother Rebecca saved the Israelite nation. Saved the Israelite nation, man, before we even was born and got good and started. How did she send our father Jacob in there to his father Isaac to get the blessings, because she knew that if Edom had got the blessings to inherit the promise from prophet Abraham, that it was all messed up, because Edom had went over to the Hittites and made it with them, and the Canites, and it grieved our mother and father that he did that. So if Edom would have got our the blessings from prophet Jacob, then man, it would have been a bad thing, that Almighty Yah prophecy would have been defeated long time ago. But how our mother Rebecca saved the Israelite nation by sending Jacob in there, you know what I'm saying, who the creator changed to Israel, sending him in there to get the first blessings from his father. And then being that Isaac was a holy prophet from prophet Abraham, who had dealings with the creator, that prophet Isaac prophecy was gonna come true. So Jacob got the blessings, and that's how we kept the inheritance of the land in the promise that Almighty gave to Yah, gave to prophet Abraham, alive. It's that our mother Rebecca gave sent Jacob in there to get the blessings, because Edom was already messing with them Hittites, as recorded right here. If you go to it'll be Genesis. It'll be Genesis 35, verse 26. But I'll go start at 28. In the days of Isaac were, no, let me see, that ain't it. No, man, it's gonna be Genesis 26, verse 34. And Esau looked. That's Genesis 26, verse 34. And, and, and Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Bishmat, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of man unto Isaac and Rebekah. Because guess what? He done took the canite mixture, the canite mixture, you know what I'm saying, with the Cain seed, and then mixed with them folks, knowing that the Hittites and the Amorites were mixed. That's what produced Jerusalem. That's what's gonna give Edom access to Jerusalem, is through his Hittite heritage, as I'm gonna show. Now we see that Edom, mixed with the Hittites, which grieved our mother and father, Isaac, our father Isaac, and our mother Rebecca. She saved the Israelite nation by sending Jacob in there to get the blessings. Because if not, Isaac was finna give to the Hittites, who had already broke a covenant. They had already broke a covenant, the Amorites, that Almighty Yah had gave them. And one of their priests was Melchizedek. He was an Amorite priest, and he was priest over Jerusalem. And he was around when Sodom and Gomorrah, when the Amorites was wicked. That's like the same culture that we Israelites live in today, come from the Amorite culture. Come from the Amorite culture. Come from the Amorite culture. Alright, so we know that Edom mixed with the Hittites. So that's a bad thing, because the Hittites and the Amorites are mixed. And if Almighty Yah gonna tell us to destroy them, and that they gonna get destroyed, then Esau done messed up already. Edom done messed up already, because Edom done went off into the folks we supposed to destroy off the flock. That's killing the promise right there. That's killing the promise right there. Whereas Prophet Israel had them sons, whereas one of them broke bad, at least the rest of them might go on and continue the mission and go on and get the mission done, as shown that, one of our forefathers, Judah, went into one of the Canaanite women's and so forth. But, going into the Canaanite women's and so forth, and messing with them folks, man, it was really based upon that you worship Almighty Yah. Because, if you didn't worship Almighty Yah, then you're going to be worshiping, the fallen angelic beings and so forth, in the culture that they created, which Edom was tied up into by messing with them Hittites. And then let's shoot to, all right, let's go on and read some of Edom's genealogy and mixture, and then I'm going to show how he mixed in with the Hittites. We already know that he mixed in with the Hittites because it grieved our mother and father. Alright, tracing Edom in the Israelite heritage is what we're doing. Alright, so then we go to Genesis 36, and then that'll show us some of Edom's heritage. Alright, so we go to Genesis 36, and it says, Esau took the wives. Let me see now. These are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. So Esau is Edom. There ain't no question about that. So we know that if a nation got the Edomite title or Edom attached to them, then that's Edom. Alright. Esau took the wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adah, and the daughters of Elon the Hittite, and Oholibah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of the Havites. So many mixed in with the Havites and the Hittites. And we know that the Havites are going to be coming off the Canaanites. Alright, and Bishmeth, Ishmael's daughter. So Ishmael, the Canaanites, and the Hittites, Edom mixed up with. And them are all the folks we were supposed to destroy coming up out of Egypt. So Edom got mixed in with them, and that would have been defeating Almighty Yah promise, for Edom to have got the heritage from his father Jacob. So it was a good thing that our mother Rebecca sent Israel in to get the blessings from our father Isaac, man, before he passed, because Edom had already messed up. So we see Edom infused with the Hittites and the Canaanites. Alright, so now let's go to Jerusalem. All right, let's go. Dude, man, he mixed with the Horites and Mounts, the folks in Sur, and you know what I'm saying, a whole bunch of folks. And then Esau's son is Eliphaz, and Eliphaz gave birth to Oman, and Oman is Omar. Oman is Omar. They did a name change. Oman is Omar, and Teman, Teman is Yemen. Teman is Yemen, ancient Yemen. Ancient Yemen is Teman in the Tanakh, and that's Edom's heritage. And I'm gonna show that Edom absorbed the Moabites and the Ammonites, and then that's why come he got their land and it's Jordan, but because he took them over through his Amorite heritage. His Amorite heritage, and we know that the Amorites, Sihon took over the Moabites in the Ammonite heritage, took their land. Soon as they got in it, the Amorites took that from them, and that's in the Tanakh history too. All right, so we know that Edom is mixed with the folks that we ain't supposed to be messing with. So now let's go to Ezekiel, and then I'm gonna read Prophet Obadiah's message. All right, Ezekiel. All right, Ezekiel. This is gonna be Ezekiel 16. So Ezekiel 16 is what we're gonna turn to, and we're gonna see what it say. And it says, in the word of the Elohim, now when this book of Ezekiel was wrote, the Babylonian captivity was down in 595 BC. They come in and snatched the first group of us up, and he was among them. And then the rest, we got chased off, men, into the Africa and stuff, you know, because it never was any 10 lost tribes. So everybody went into Africa that didn't get captured and took into Babylon, which would be the 99% of our people. All right, they're showing that Edom is mixed with the Hittites, who got control of Jerusalem, who is mixed with the Amorites. And the Amorites are going to be the chief peoples in the promised land. They like the, you know, they mix with everybody, got mixed with them, and that's where that term Semitic come from. Semi, mix, half and half. Half and half, mixed with everything. All right. This is Ezekiel 16. And the word of the Elohim came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abomination, and say, Thus saith the Elohim Yah unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan, and thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother an Hittite. Look, thy mother was an Amorite, and thy father was a Hittite. Man, I want y'all to meditate on that for a second. Meditate on that for a second. Now, the mother was a Hittite, and the father an Amorite. Look, let's read this again. All right. And again, the word of the Elohim came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abomination, and say, This is the Elohim Yah unto Jerusalem. Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. So, you know, everybody knocking off the little Hittite women and stuff. And we know that the Hittites come from Turkey. I got a video explaining how they was in Turkey underground and so forth, in them caves and a whole bunch of stuff. All right. So we see that Jerusalem nativity is of a Hittite and an Amorite. You know what I'm saying? So we know that. So now let's look and see. Man, I'm wanting to see if I can show Edom's heritage going over into the Moabites, because we know the Moabites was taken over by the Amorites. You know what I'm saying? So let me pull that up. And I think I go to Numbers. That'd be Numbers 21. All right, Numbers 21. Let me see. That'd be Numbers 21. That'll be Numbers 21, verse 26. 21, verse 26. All right, here it is. Amorite take Moab. All right. For Heshbon, let's see. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnan. Wherefore they have that spake in Proverbs, say, Come unto Heshbon, and let the city of Sihon be built, prepared. Let me see. So Sihon took Moab and Ammon. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be nothing bust them both up. Look, woe to thee, O Moab, thou art undone, O people of Charmage. He had given his sons that escaped and his daughters into captivity unto Sihon, king of the Amorites. So we know that the Amorites got, Jerusalem. And we know that the Amorites and the Hittites are fools, and that Edom is fools with the Hittites. Might as well say the Amorites too. So we know he gonna be in the promised land and try to get a chance to get in our heritage, as I'm gonna show what history show. All right, so we're gonna go to we're gonna go to Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah 48. Let's see what it says. Say 48. That'll be Jeremiah 48 2. And see what it say. Jeremiah 48 2. So we know that Edom in our heritage right now today. Right. Jeremiah 48 2. There shall be no more praise in Moab and Heshbon, that they have devised evil against it. Come and let us cut it off from being a nation. Also thou shalt be cut down, O madman. The sword shall pursue thee. So we know as you keep reading this, Edom name gonna pop up. Edom name gonna pop up. It's gonna talk about Ammon and Moab. And then as you read it, man, Edom name gonna pop up right after that. So, you know what I'm saying? The Ammonites, man, concerning the Ammonites, what I'm saying? How Heshbon, let me see, Rabah, the Ammonites, and it shall, this is Jeremiah 49, and it shall be desolate and heat, and her daughter shall be burnt with fire. All right. How, O Heshbon, for I is spoiled, O ye daughters of Ros. So Heshbon and Moab and Ammon shared the same heritage and so forth. And then how the Ammonites and the Moabites gonna be in Gad's heritage. All right, you know what I'm saying? I think if we read Deuteronomy 23 verse 3, it's told that they couldn't even come into an Israelite heritage, so they ain't even supposed to be in Jerusalem. The Moabites and the Ammonites ain't supposed to be in Jerusalem, and we know that Edom took over the Moabite heritage, you know what I'm saying, through the Hittite heritage, that they all mixed in together, as we gonna show Edom in the Israelite heritage in Jerusalem. But if we go to Deuteronomy 23 3, let's see what it say. Because this is the reason why it's all the way it is, and how did they trespass and been trespassing for a long time, and then that how that the Jewish state is in cahoots with the Edomites, which show that they ain't Israelites, and it's gonna be the Sephardic branch of them, the Sephardim that's in cahoots with the Edomites because they the same. You know what I'm saying? As I'm going to show that Edom was converted into Judaism under John Harnicus in 130 BC. And it's way before Herd was even born. That the Edomites was already into Judaism. And then by the time Herd get to build a temple and so forth, started on it in 50 BC, and it was finished in, and burnt up, that, the Edomites control the land. All right, so we see, we go to Genesis. This would be Deuteronomy 23, verse 3. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Elohim. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Elohim forever. Forever. So they ain't even supposed to be in the promised land. Now, let's go look what Prophet Obadiah had to say about the Edomites. You know what I'm saying? But we got to look and see what Prophet Obadiah had to say about them, because it's a, prophet, that is going to, tell us, what was going to happen and everything. And Prophet Obadiah, he going to speak about Edom's last days too, and what the Israelites going to do and be in the position to pay them back to what was done to us during the Babylonian War. So we turn to Obadiah, this famed prophet Obadiah, and then he was in he gonna be in 853 BC, I think. Here we go. 853 BC, we tracing Edom in the Israelite heritage. As I already showed, that through the Hittites, he was already in the land, and that the Hittites was Jerusalem's founder. And if Edom mixed with the Hittites in Jerusalem, it is the Hittites founder, then he gonna be in Jerusalem. All right. This is Obadiah. This was a prophecy that was said. We was already messed up on Egyptian religion, and Prophet Obadiah, peeping the whole scene of how he was functioning, Almighty Yah was communicating with him, and then this is the prophecy that he left. And this is in 853 BC. All right. The vision of Obadiah. This said the Elohim Yah concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Elohim, an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up, men, against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Sure enough, despised he in captivity and so forth. How they own all the little gas stations and all the little stores in the community. How it's just a little few of them, and how they practice their religion here in this big old Christian nation, and how they is greatly despised. Greatly despised. Man, how the prophecies be right on time, and how Almighty Yah word is true. All right. Thy pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high. That's Petra. That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, same with the beast. He riding with the beast, and he got an eagle as a symbol too. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Elohim. If thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Will thou not have stolen till they have had enough? If the grape gatherers come to thee, would they have not left some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Because they've been hiding who Edom is, and don't want the world to know who Edom is, because then they'll question, well, why the Jewish state is in opposition to prophecies in Almighty Yah's word. That's going to come to their mind, because the Jewish state share land with the Edomites. as I'm going to show in a few minutes. All right. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, that they eat thy bread, have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, said the Elohim, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? All the mighty men of Teman shall be dismayed to the end, that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Cut off by slaughter. So, man, it ain't going to be the Jewish state that's going to do it, because they in cahoots with them. They share the promised land. You know, they got a armistice treaty, and it's a brother that I'm going to show that helped them solve the Arabic in the Jewish wars of 1949, how this Israelite got the peace treaty for him. All right. In the day that thou stoodest, let me see, for the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hand on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off of his that did escape. Neither should thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. You know, they was with the Babylonians. They have captured the folks. All right. For the day of the Elohim is near. And I can show how that they manipulated the Israelites during the Babylonian wars. Is in the book of Jerusalem, how they tried to get the peoples to come over into Edom and heritage. But the Israelite forces saved everybody, and then we went off into Africa, and then, you know, here we are. All right. Neither should thou have stood in the crossway to cut off of his that did men escape. Neither should thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Elohim is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunken upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they have not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness. In the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. You know, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble. And look, in the house of Joseph, we know that, you know, us Israelites, you know, got mixed in furs with some of them Hamites, and that's, you know, Joseph two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. I explained in videos how they was kin to the Mishwish tribes and so forth, and then how the tribe of Joseph was the leaders of the northern kingdom, led the northern kingdom. You know, all right. So we know that Esau gonna be some stubble, and we gonna bleed the flames. Look, in the house of Jacob shall be fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, said the Elohim of hosts. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they supposed to get it. And listen, we know that us Israelites gonna have to return home. I don't care if it don't seem like it, and it seem like it's so far away, but it's gonna actually happen. And I'm trying to get it to happen faster than, what our mental conditions should really allow, because the vast majority of us is messed up believing in Jewish history, whereas it's just a small percentage of us that really understand what's going on. But I want the Israelite Brotherhood to set up in the Promised Land to end prophecy. I'm staying telling the Jewish community that it's time to bring the Israelite issue to an end. I mean, it's time to bring the Israelite issue to an end. It's time to bring the Israelite issue to an end. And we know that we Israelites, we know how everybody got in our heritage. So the best next step for humanity, it's a lot of people claim how they want to unite humanity and for us all to be one. If you're really serious about that, then you should help end this Israelite issue. That's like, it's a possibility that I done spoke to Jacob Nathaniel Rothschild. All right, how about if he listening, or any of them listening, that how that it'd be wise to settle this Israelite issue on your watch, where you can have the experience of knowing that this Israelite issue is out the way. All right, Israelites, now let's go show how Edom, man, is in our heritage and what history say. You know what I'm saying? What the computers say. Look, all right, you see that say, is Edom modern day Jordan? Let's see what it say. Is Edom modern day Jordan? All right. All right, it says, Edom is modern day Jordan. Most of its former territory is now divided between present day southern Israel and Jordan. Edom appears in written sources relating to the late Bronze Age and to the Iron Age in the Levant. Edom. Edom is Jordan. Look. Jordan. It's Edom. They telling you. Edom. Edomites. The Jordanians is Edomites. What is Edom called today? Let's see what Edom is called today. Look, Edom is an ancient land bordering ancient Israel. Present day Edom is now southwestern Jordan, located between the Dead Sea and the Gulf. All right, so right there, Edom. Edom. Edom is Jordan. Look, you see that Ammon and so forth. We know the Moabites and Edom through the Hittite heritage. You know what I'm saying? That's how Edom got in there. Even though Prophet Obadiah said that Edom would be just straight up in our heritage. But you see, Edom is Jordan. But you got them Israelites in them camp talking about the folks over here in China, way over here, talking about they the Moabites and so forth. Ah, man, confusing. You cannot listen to no camp doctrine with explaining Tanakh history. You cannot listen to the camps trying to explain Tanakh history because they don't know. Their specialty is the New Testament. And that how the thing ain't got nothing to do with the Old Testament, or what they call the Old Testament. It's the Tanakh, where the real history at. Will show you and lead you to Edom right now today. Now, Prophet Obadiah say that Edom will be in our heritage, and that he was, he'll be there. And sure enough, he there, as I just showed how Edom mixed in with the Hittites, and the Hittites and the Amorites got control of the Moabites. We'll put Edom right there. And then they'll tell you on a computer, if you do just type it in, who is Edom. Every time it's going to come up Jordan. It's going to come up the land Jordan. And then if Edom is Jordan, then how is you Israelites going to change that? You can't change that. But you have an Israelite that'll try to change the truth, man, and, make it something else. You know what I'm saying? That's like I want to show this. Man, in this map right here. Look, you see Scythopolis right there. Scythopolis. That's where Ashkenazi settled in. Ashkenazi was with the Babylonians under the name Chaldean. And this is where he settled at. Right there. And he was part of the Discopolis cities. Look, the Discopolis cities, Edom had them. Edom had control of the Discopolis cities over here. All this land right here, man, is what Edom had control at. In Ashkenazi, they was doing battling. They was battling and so forth. And the Edomites was trying to convert Ashkenazi. That's where all the synagogues come from, because the Edomites had the temple, Herd temple and so forth. But Ashkenazi had all them synagogues. And then that's what Jesus was trying to convert them, as I explained in plenty of videos, how it was a bunch of Jesus. Now, you Israelites have got to be stone crazy out your man to challenge the Jewish sources. And the Jewish sources got each one of these Jesus documented with his history. And then I show that wasn't no Israelites in the New Testament era, because how Tigernus the Great took over 30,000 Jews, 20,000 Jews from the Promised Land and took them to Armenia, and how none of them wasn't black. None of them. So how in the world is Jesus gonna be a black man when it wasn't none in the land, man, before he got there? It wasn't none in the land before he got there. And then I show Scythopolis. That's where the Scythians settled at. After the Babylonian wars, that's where they settled at. And you see, that's right there. ain't no exiles live past the Greek times. Y'all can hang that up to become the New Testament Israelites. Y'all can hang that mess up. Man, it's like this. When Tigernus the Great took those Jews to Armenia in 50 BC, that when Jesus was about and saying that he was looking for the lost tribes, that's who he was talking about. And that how he wasn't referring to the Israelites during the Syrian times. You had to be a mad person to be talking about looking for some folks during the Syrian times, 800 years before he was born, thinking the message was going to be taken to them and so forth. And that how Jesus was really referring to the Jews that was took to Armenia by Tigernus the Great. Tigernus the Great. But this dude right here, man, converted the all Edom, man, to Judaism. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to show this. He converted all Edom to Judaism. This dude right here. Tigernus, John Harnicus. In 130 BC, he converted Edom. Look, let me find where his conversion. Alright. Yeah, man, he converted the whole Edom to Judaism. Look. Alright. Harnicus also initiated military campaign against Edomites. And during this campaign, Harnicus conquered all the cities of Edom. And Harnicus then instituted forced conversion of the Edomites to what? So that's gonna be why come they in the Promised Land too. See, that's the Sephardims got them in the Promised Land, and the Sephardims is gonna be a branch of the branch of the Sephardists, that mix with the Arabs, Ishmael and Hamites and all them type of folks and so forth. Alright, Israelites, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. We see that Edom, you know what I'm saying, that Hezmonian kingdom, all them Edomites. And how the Israelites think that the Chinese folks trying to give them folks a bad name. See, whenever you using Jewish myths, then your myths is gonna support Western culture, whether it's in the military field or what. See, that's how them saying that the camp saying that China it's the Moabites and all them, knowing that they enemies to the Israelites, then that's helping our enemies and so forth be against the Chinese and helping them with having our energy against the Chinese and so forth. And them folks ain't have nothing to do with the transatlantic slave trade and so forth, and how Almighty using them to bring the system down now. Alright, Ashkenazi, if you listening to these videos, you know that you don't have long, man, before Russia and all the Arabic nations in what y'all call the Middle East is finna align themselves with the China Silk Road, because they tired of trading paper for resources and stuff, paper and ink for resources, and how that they finna trade and have sovereignty over their nations and stuff for the first time since after the World War I and so forth, and how the Ashkenazi is surrounded in the only way to help themselves and to help, make the promised land safe for all to live in it is to embrace the Israelite brotherhood and help the Israelite brotherhood get the Israelites back home. Those who believe in Yah. Alright, Shalom Israelite. This is a message from the Israelite brotherhood. We tracing Edom in the Israelite heritage. I just showed y'all who Edom was. So ain't no sense looking to Edom, to be the Europeans and so forth, who Almighty Yah told to come down and be in our nation. See, that's why you Israelites is crazy with them doctrines, them million doctrines that the Israelite got, that your doctrine ain't finna help us get back to the promised land. Your doctrine is not finna help us get back to the promised land, because your doctrine is Jewish myths. Alright, so if the Edomites is the European nations, then y'all calling Almighty Yah a lie and confusion. It is because Almighty Yah told the people from the north to come down and be in our heritage. Now, why would Almighty Yah be mad at Edom and tell Obadiah that they shouldn't be in our heritage and that they gonna have to pay for that if the European nations are Edom? See, look here. All right. Then the Elohim, see, this is Jeremiah. This will be around about 14. Then the Elohim said unto me, out of the north. This is Jeremiah 1:14. Then the Elohim said unto me, out of the north, an evil shall break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north. That's all them folks above us. The Greeks, the Romans, all them folks, he told them to come down and be in our land. So how could them Europeans be Edom when Almighty Yah told them to be there? See, he told them to be there right here. For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, said the Elohim, and they shall come, and they shall set every man his throne at the entrings of the gate of Jerusalem, and against all the walls thereof, and around about against all the cities of Jerusalem. See what I'm saying? So how could Edom be the European nations? How could the Edom be the Caucasians? When Almighty Yah told them to come down and be in our land. And then that's one of the reasons why Ashkenazi got in there. Because during the Babylonian wars, Almighty Yah told them to come down and be in our land and so forth. So you Israelites crazy with that mess. That's Ashkenazi in our heritage and been since the Babylonian wars. He was with the child. He made up the Chaldean nation. He controlled it. And he settled. Been there. Why you camps history don't have Ashkenazi in it? Showing that he lived in Scythopolis. Because y'all don't know. So if an Israelite using y'all heritage, using y'all history, the camp history, trying to explain Israelite history, how it's going to be confusing and be off. As I just showed that Almighty Yah told the nations from the north to come down and be in our land. Come down and be in our land. And Ashkenazi got double play because we know that Germany, they try to say that that's where Ashkenazi come from, and that's Ashkenazi name. But we know during the Syrian times that the Syrians called Ashkenazi by his name, and that how Ashkenazi predates Germany. That's like how the Sephardists try to say Sephard from Spain, but how we know Sephardim predates Spain, and that how those are ethnic pointer terms and so forth, showing ethnic groups and not lands and so forth. All right, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. We know that the nations from the north is not Edomites because Almighty Yah told them to be there. And I just showed you that Edom is Jordan, and that how the Jewish state share their land with them through their Sephardim heritage. All right, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood, and I pray that all the Israelites men are doing well and that everybody is healthy, and much love to the Israelite Brotherhood family. It ain't gonna be too long before we have a spot. Shalom, Hebrews. Much love.